Oklahoma State at Kansas State. Uh, these are two teams I have no interest in backing playing each other. I think I saw you bet Oklahoma State, so I'm
Yeah.
curious to get your take. My take here is, this is going to come down to Alan Bowman or maybe Garrett Rangel because I mean Oklahoma State. It is shocking to look at their rushing numbers with one of the best backs in the country. They're 130th in rushing success rate, 100th in EPA per rush. I mean, they have Ollie Gordon. So I know teams are stacking the box. And Kansas State's run D has been good. Their pass D is not. So that's the path for Oklahoma State. Do you trust Bowman is the question. But because on the other end, the Oklahoma State defense is bad. And they haven't really been good against anything. So, and they've been worse against the run. I mean, at home last week, you don't have Cam Rising, and you lose to Zach Wilson's little brother because you couldn't stop the run. What I worry about here is, okay, and this is a huge game in the Big 12. Like, both these teams need to win. They both lost last week. This is huge for the Big 12 race. Kansas State, just lean on the run game, unleash Avery Johnson's legs. He obviously can't throw the ball. And run all over this Oklahoma State defense that is not that good. It's already lost its best player to injury and was on the field for 41 minutes last week in that Stillwater heat. Like, aren't they going to be fatigued here? So the counter is Alan Bowman's going to have a good day against the secondary. And I'm assuming that's what you're going to tell me because you bet Oklahoma State, but I don't like either of these teams.
Right. Yeah, I started doing a deep dive on Monday on this game because there's this claim by Mike Gundy that teams are loading the box. Teams are loading the box. Ollie can't get anywhere to go anywhere. So I actually went and looked, and sure enough, Utah, Arkansas, these opponents switched out of their base defenses into a 6-3-2 whenever there was a known running attempt by Ollie Gordon. And so there is legs and there's some truth to what Mike Gundy is saying about teams loading the box. So at some point, right, Alan Bowman's going to have to produce in one-on-one coverage and get teams to put in 8-9 guys in the box against Ollie Gordon. You know, the Pokes offense has just been stalled. They're top 35 and 3-and-out rate right now. I talked about Colorado having. I know Colorado is one of the teams that's highest in the nation in 3-and-out. Well, Oklahoma State's right up there with them. They went 11 straight possessions against Utah without a score. I mean, and Alan Bowman came out. I think I retweeted the video. He said, I never practiced against cover one. It wasn't in our game plan. I never saw it. I didn't practice against it in the fall. And I'm thinking, my God, you've been in college football for 8 years. You've never seen a cover one before. He said that the high safety really gave him some issues. And I'm like, what are you giving Kansas State some ideas here for Joe Klanderman's defense? But if you look at Joe Klanderman's defense, they have horrible ranks in generating a pass rush, and they have horrible ranks in coverage. And that is where I kind of got down the Oklahoma State path, because Klanderman's secondary is 68th in creating a contested catch. They don't really stop wide receivers from doing what they're doing. And you remember back to the Utah handicap, the Utes were number one in the nation in creating contested catches. That was on full display when Alan Bowman was throwing, when Rangel was throwing. What did he go, 3 of 11? So I think Bowman's going to have a much better day here. He's not going to see cover one. He's not facing a secondary that has a heavy contested rate as far as catches go. And Gundy, you know, with the whole statement that Ollie Gordon is getting picked on in the box, he's only averaging 2.7 yards after contact, which is a full yard less than last year. I think Alan Bowman's going to have to pick Stribling and Presley, get him in one-on-one coverage. But the thing is Kansas State has been so poor against the pass. Think about Arizona. I know they blew out Arizona, but Arizona threw it down the field all day. I think Oklahoma State's going to have the same kind of success here. Now, the Oklahoma State defense has been good when opponents are trying to score, but they're giving up the whole field. 27 opponent drives have crossed the Cowboys 40, but here's the good news. Brian Nardo's defense, they're allowing 1.7 points per trip to opponents that get past the 40. They are top 15 in red zone defense. I'm not sure if it's just an agreement that the Pokes want to allow everybody to have the field, but they are really tight when it gets down to scoring position. Beyond those numbers, you know, the success rates don't look good. Some of the other numbers don't look good on defense. They are top 30 in defensive havoc. So I will take a havoc defense, and I will take one that's really good in the red zone. but there's no downfield passing for Kansas State. You mentioned it. Avery Johnson, 3 of 15 beyond 20 yards. That's a joke. 121st Kansas State is in pass EPA. I mean, people are just going to be able to load up in this box. This again, against Dylan Edwards and against DJ Giddens. Sometimes they go into 2-back sets like 7% of the time, and you're just going to be able to load up on it because Avery Johnson isn't going to beat you. And the issue really is passing downs. This stat just blew my mind with Kansas State. Kansas State has the 7th best average distance to go on third downs, 5.6 yards. That's what they average on third downs. Do you know what they are in third down conversion rate? You'd think they'd be around top 10 because they have such a short distance. They're 61st in third downs. Wow. And you're 7th in distance. That's how broken they are as an offense and how predictable they are by the opposing defenses. I'm taking the points. I think I make this like 3, but I'll take the points with Oklahoma State. At some point, there's not going to be a 6-3-2 in that box against Ollie, and Ollie could take off. But if you're going to do that, Bowman's got to step up, and hopefully he doesn't see cover 1 this week and freak out like he's 19-year-old freshman. I don't know what that was against Utah.
Yeah. You weren't expecting Utah to load the box, play man? That's bizarre to me.
Hey, it's a new member of the Big 12, right? They didn't even probably even look at any film from last year on Utah. So,
yeah, that's true.